everybody. It's me, Mama, with Mama Knows Her Salt. Thanks for listening and joining in and watching these videos. I appreciate you doing that. Today we're going to do mac and cheese. Yay! Southerners love mac and cheese. And this is my mama's recipe. She never wrote this down. I had to actually go from memory as to how she put it together. And then I had to take it and see how much salt was actually in it. And then we had to work on it to figure out how we could make it work to where everybody in my family, or my husband especially, could have a little bit of mac and cheese, especially on Easter dinner coming up, right? So if we start out just normal and we use the normal amounts of things and the salt and everything that generally goes in this, the normal amount of salt would be in this is 5,779 milligrams. Can you believe it? So what I've done is I've worked on it a little bit and we've got it down to 3,338. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but we're going to put it in a 9 by 13 pan and we're going to divide it up 12 ways. So this means that my husband can have one serving of those 12 servings, and it would be a whopping 279 milligrams of sodium. So yay, he can still have that along with some roasted chicken or, you know, just some other thing that's going to keep him under that 500 milligrams per meal that he's supposed to do. So we're going to get started. Now what I have already done, I have cooked the macaroni, elbow macaroni, just according to the package directions. Just follow that. Now, the big thing, remember, don't add salt to your water because then you're adding more salt. So just cook it just in the water till, oh, I don't know, 9 to 12 minutes, just depending, and that and let it cool. All right, be sure and rinse it and let it cool. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, we've got some melted butter that I put over here. Luckily, I didn't let it boil over into the microwave, which I usually do, so yay. Okay, what we're going to do is, I'll get my thoughts together here. We've got our diced cheese, we've got 5 eggs, and we've got 2 1/4 cups of milk. And Trey is really good about putting all this on for you guys, so you'll have a listing of it. He's really fabulous about that. So don't worry about it if you didn't get all of that. We also have a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now, if you like a little more pepper, you can add more to that, you know, cayenne, whatever you want to do. But this is just something we're going to try to stick as close to my mama's recipe as we could, or as we can. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to beat these eggs. We're going to try to move my cheat sheets out of the way. I got to have my cheat sheets. Now, I bet you're wondering how my mama got that nickname, Jinx. Jinx mac and cheese. Yep, that was her nickname. Well, according to the story, or how she used to say it, when she was a little girl, there was this lady that used to take care of her and her 11 brothers and sisters. And every time Mama came into the room, something burned, something broke, and so she gave my mama the nickname of Jinx, and it stuck with her entire life. She would never get on an airplane. Never. I don't think she ever did. She said, nope, ain't like Jinx, you don't ever want to get on an airplane. So I beat these eggs till they're just good and mixed up there. I'm going to move this out of the way. Try not to get that all over the table. Then we're going to get our macaroni. We're just going to pour that in and try not to spill it all over the floor. Oops. So then we're going to pour our egg into our macaroni. This, of course, is just so it'll stick together. Now, I know everybody's got their own idea about macaroni and cheese. Some like it creamy. This is how my mama made it. And evidently it's called like macaroni and cheese pie. I guess it's because it's along the consistency of a pie. I don't know. I don't know the history there. Maybe one of y'all can tell me. One of the historians or whatever that's into mac and cheese. You can tell me all about it. All right, now we're just gonna mix this up real good until that egg is kind of well distributed. We're gonna try not to lose the pasta on the floor. But hey, you're not a good cook if you don't get a few pieces on the floor. All right. There we go. I think that's good. Now what I'm going to do at this point, you could just put this in your milk and do it all that way, but I am going to kind of just distribute this on the macaroni. Get those out of the way. Now, watch this very carefully. I'm going to use this reduced sodium Lari salt rather than regular salt. And I'm only going to do a ½ teaspoon. Now, did you notice what I did there? I took the lid off. You didn't see me shaking it across here. I'm going to measure out a ½ teaspoon. And we're going to just mix that across like that. Put that back on and put it away. Because even this reduced sodium one has 270 milligrams per 1/4 teaspoon. So that's why you've got to measure, guys. I'm sorry, it's just something that's going to have to become part of your nature, is just measure it. They don't say that you don't get to have any salt. You just got to watch it. You've got to measure things out. You've got to make sure you're staying within that limit that you're supposed to stay in. And honestly, all of us that live here, we've all decided, well, it's not going to hurt any of us to cut back on our salt. So we try to fit within that as well. So there's no special meals or anything. We just all decided we would work together on that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to pour my melted butter. Now, way my mama would do this, I'd melt my butter, but she would just cut pieces of butter up and stick it all in the macaroni. So you could do that if you did not have time to melt your butter. And I melted that I put it in the microwave for about, I don't know, I started at 20 seconds and then I went about 20 seconds more. And that's a ½ cup. Now this is not low fat. Just bear in mind, if you want low fat, this is not the recipe for you. This is reduced sodium, lower sodium mac and cheese, okay? Now, last but not least, and I did mention I've got my oven on at 375, I think. We're gonna pour this milk over our macaroni. And I'm going to squish it down real good. And of course, the most important part. Now, with my mama's, we would use a whole pound of cheese. This one, I cut it back to 12 ounces, and we still have plenty of cheese. Now, you notice I'm kind of placing this in here because I'm a little OCD about my cheese. I like to have it all through the whole thing, not just clumped in one spot. Now, there are some people like to put potato chips on here. Of course, you have to get the no salt potato chips if you wanted to do that. You could also do a little paprika on top. Make it look real pretty. And I'm squishing this cheese down in here. I don't really know if that's a word, squish, but anyway. You understand what I'm doing here. You got it, right? And the pepper, if you don't like black pepper in your casseroles or in your macaroni and cheese, you could certainly use the white pepper. Okay, guys, we are good. Now, I've got this to where the milk is just right up to the top. We could even add in a little more if we wanted. And because you want to make sure that your macaroni is covered. All right, and then we're ready to go in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just keep an eye on it. It will be ready when it's nice and hot and bubbly and that cheese is all melted. Now see, that's 12 ounces. It's 1 square, and it's going to be 278 milligrams of sodium. Okay. All right. See you guys in about 45 minutes or so. Love. Oh, look at that. Like I said, this is not low fat at all. Doesn't that look delicious? We're going to come put it over here under the better light. Lots of butter, lots of cheese, but still within the limits that the doctor calls for. Actually, it's 500, and we are well below 279, so we can definitely have other things with it. Just going to let it cool down, let it all kind of settle. Then I'm going to cut it in 12 servings. And maybe that's where they get the pie part of it, because you can definitely cut it into 12 servings. And got that delicious Southern mac and cheese, Jinx's mac and cheese. I did want to make mention real quick, if you're looking for sources of where to find the amounts that of sodium that food has in it, you can actually go to USDA website and pull up all this information. It is a listing of just about everything you can think of and how much sodium is in it and how much of the serving size. So that would help you find out. That's what I use all the time. It has become a very important part of my life because a lot of my recipes don't have the nutritional information, and so this helps a lot. And of course, later on, as we're doing more, I'll probably use it even more. So that is our macaroni and cheese pie, Jinx mac and cheese. And I appreciate you guys listening and watching. And if you have any questions, you can email us at mamaknowshersalt@gmail.com. Be glad for you guys to subscribe or to make comments, or if you have questions or anything that way. We'd just love to hear from you. So just remember, Mama loves you. Bye now.